Hey. Hey, thanks for watching the video or clicking, whatever. This is a intuitive look on how I feel, where I say the most inflammatory things that I think are true and without proof. So if you want to watch, please keep watching. Okay. The president, your president, in the remarks made about Tylenol, I'm thinking, I see that it's mostly to do with something that it's a threat. Something about Johnson&Johnson, and they pulled out of something, reneged on something. And so therefore, it's like a threat that Trump kind of pursues and make the statement about Tylenol. Tylenol is just an offshoot of Johnson&Johnson, but it's basically Johnson&Johnson, but these conglomerates and these companies get so big that they create new businesses or new corps attached to them, because just in case they get lawsuited, they can just shut that down and go on to the next one, and make something totally new and call it like Bylenol instead of Tylenol. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm thinking that Johnson&Johnson has been involved in undercover DNA research, and they're trying to pull out of DNA research and whatever deals Trump had with Johnson&Johnson in terms of DNA and copying DNA, something about DNA that Johnson&Johnson has been invested in. If it's like a vaccine, something. This is a threat. Trump is threatening Johnson&Johnson by targeting Tylenol. Tylenol is not the only fucking medicine right now that's out that causes or is linked to autism. All of your vaccines are linked to autism. Everything that you fucking eat in GMO is linked to autism. Like everything you do is autistic, or everything you consume or put into your body is basically gonna create some sort of ailment or autism or something. Pretty much everything in fucking America. Seriously. Because this country has been hit so hard with our nutrition, with all of the pollution, everything around us. It's hitting America so hard because it's trying to destabilize a lot of the native indigenous people that just seemingly just can't die and won't just leave. And that's really what this is about. But anyways, he's targeting Johnson&Johnson not because of good faith and like, oh, Tylenol, they, we just found this research. That's not true. Okay. That's not true. It was something to do with Johnson&Johnson pulling out of a deal that Trump and that whole RFK or whatever had, and them pulling out of it, or his cabinet not getting this deal with Johnson&Johnson, and it had to do with DNA, blood, lymph, tissue, something like this. This is like a threat to like get them back into the fold. And saying like, oh, it can be a lot worse. Basically Trump is like, I could say a lot more things, how do you want this to go? That's Trump. Anyways, we'll see how this plays out, right? Meanwhile, he gets to look like he's doing the noble thing. When has Trump ever intentfully done the right fucking thing? Everything has benefited him in some other regard. If you think about it in terms of the principality that's behind him, he's been acting as if he's a pundit for the face of something else. If you think about it, if you really think about it, everything that this man has said that he's going to do or has done, one is to get you riled up and to have hope, which is, hope is useless in America. That is just something that used car sales personalities use as a tool to manipulate you and get what they want out of you. Hope. like I said, he's making this announcement. It's twofold. I mean, he gets to crush his opponent in terms of Johnson&Johnson. Something happened with Johnson&Johnson. That's too big of a name, and they have a lot of money and a lot of backing behind them, and they're invested in a lot of shit to do with our DNA and blood and possibly even consciousness. So for him to like make an announcement about Tylenol, which is a conglomerate off of Johnson&Johnson, listen, something went down, and he's killing two birds with one stone by threatening them and then making himself look somewhat decent to get like 2 points on the approval rating. That's all. This has nothing, I would say this has nothing to do with their philanthropy and their ideologies about Tylenol and trying to purify their race and their Reich and their right-wing Republican, da-da-da-da-da. This has nothing to do with that. RFK and Trump probably use Tylenol every other day for their back pain and their sciatica and all their fucked up debauchery shit. Okay, all of the shit they're plagued with from all of their debauchery. They probably use Tylenol themselves. This is something beyond just the optics of taking out Tylenol and going through Johnson&Johnson to do it. This is something beyond that. And then you have to ask yourself, why Johnson&Johnson? There's so many other shits that this conspiratorial type of ideology of like, and it's not conspiratorial. There's real shit in our Vax and Tylenol and the things that we consume, all of our food, etc. Why go after Tylenol? Why Tylenol? Why Johnson&Johnson? Why that conglomerate? Why not Bayer? Why not Advil? Why not the shit they're spraying in the sky? Why not the GMO? Why not the vaccine or a particular vaccine or something? And like, why Johnson&Johnson? I'm telling you, it's because they did something or they pulled out of something. Probably because they don't want to deal with Trump, and that's how he operates. Trump likes to trump people. Do you see what I'm saying? He likes to put something in fine print on a fucking document that you're supposed to read as a nation or whatever you are, and then you sign it thinking that he was saying things in good faith, and then you look through it and it's like, oh shit, I just signed something that I didn't even read, didn't I? He's like that. He's skeevy like that. Trump is very skeevy like that, and that's why y'all got him as your president, right? Because you felt like he would make America great by screwing over other nations so that you can get your, economy and your fucking materialism back up or whatever the fuck. You thought he was going to be able to do what was necessary and be cutthroat as a businessman. And look at him. He's cutting your throats. Actually, now that I think about it, doesn't Johnson&Johnson divulge into fetal tissue and like all of that stuff? Don't they do stuff with lymph and tissue, don't they? Johnson&Johnson does. I'm not saying that Tylenol, I'm not saying that they're attacking. What I'm saying is they're attacking Johnson&Johnson in an indirect way. Like it's like Tylenol is an offshoot, is a conglomerate, is a part of a conglomerate of Tylenol. Tylenol is a part of the conglomerate of Johnson&Johnson. Johnson&Johnson, I'm telling you, probably pulled out and reneged on something. Trump had it's probably someone behind Trump or the principality, one of the principalities behind Trump were invested in, or Trump himself was invested in some sort of tissue harvesting from Johnson&Johnson, and they pulled out of something. Because in DNA and research of data for blood and your genetics, as well as like just fetal tissue is a big industry. It's a huge fucking industry. And who knows what Johnson&Johnson, decided to procure or have a new deal with. Maybe Johnson&Johnson just decided to just stay within themselves. And who knows why fucking Donald Trump or the principality behind Donald Trump needs fucking tissues, needs your fucking blood for something, needs fetal tissue, needs the mapping and the copy of data log or database Johnson&Johnson has on people's DNA. Who fucking knows? I might know. And also what he's doing is I don't want to say grifting or shilling necessarily, but that's essentially what he is. He being Donald Trump is trying to, he stood for a lot of different things, right? Like this new change and, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to take care of the vaccines and see about this. And he did nothing. And now he's doing something. You have to ask yourself, why is he doing it now? Because he's not in a good position. That's why. He's holding all his cards so that knowing that you as the public are expecting him to play certain things because that's what you wanted and that's what you elected him for, but he's holding his cards close to him. And when he feels like he needs get out of jail free card or just get out of jail card, he plays his ace. Oh, let's play this jack right here. And the jack is, let's appease the conspiracy theorists that voted for Trump and feel upset with him right now. Let's appease them by making a statement about Tylenol and autism and what vax can do. We all knew this for the past 30 years, that what the possibilities of what vaccines could do to in utero, out of utero. There's a bunch of data to suggest that there's something going on, and it may not necessarily just be the vax. It might be in conjunction with the food that you eat, your haplogroup, your demography, the stress level you're under, the stress level that a mother is under. There's a lot of different factors here. I say that to say that, like I said, he's saying this now because he's shilling. He's getting his grift on, okay? He needs to, because his approval ratings are just in the fucking gutter. You don't need to have intuition and be a high priestess you don't need to be a fucking psychic to see that shit, okay? That's obvious. And if you can't see it, you need to sit down, because then you're just a part of his cult. He's doing nothing for you other than saying tranny this and tranny that. You just really need to believe that this man is going to do something for you, because you've been holding and riding on your whiteness for so fucking long, and you want something to represent your Reich. Anyways, we'll see how this plays out, right? Over and out.